Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If new, if that is the case, then please subscribe. So if you didn't see, like a week or two ago, I did a video about the worst experience of my life. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it down in the description box below. You should really go check it out before you go and watch this video, because it kind of sets the rant off, I guess, because that was a ranting video about one of the worst experiences of my life. And this is going to be a rant on like gymnastics and acrobatic, or just dance teachers in general. So I have a list on my phone here of things that I would like to talk about because they are so important, it's insane. So the first thing is a coach's or teacher's license, I guess you could say. There are specific like exams and courses that you have to take to be able to be called, or like I guess labeled as a teacher, to be able to coach whatever you want to coach. And I coached at a gymnastics gym one time. I'm not gonna say what gym it was because some of you probably might know, but others of you don't, and I don't want, this video isn't about trying to talk about that gym, kind of just like things that a lot of teachers are doing wrong nowadays, and I really want to address that so that the word gets out and people realize what they're doing wrong. So I was coaching there. I applied, and she was like, so do you have like a coach's license? And I was like, no, sorry. She was like, oh, that's fine. And to me, that's extremely dangerous, because luckily I was an acrobat and I knew what I was doing for what I was coaching, because being an acrobat, it's everybody says gymnastics and acro is the same thing. It's really not. They are very similar, but they are completely different. That made no sense, but whatever. So I knew the basics of it, and I have friends that are in gymnastics, so I knew mostly on floor. I knew some bars, beam, and vault, but I definitely like was gonna learn that throughout. But she was like, oh, that's fine, like I'll just stick you with this coach and you'll learn along the way. And I was like, that doesn't sound right, but okay, like I guess it's like whatever, like you're the owner of the entire gym, like where I'm just gonna go with you. So she had me coaching without my license, and one, that was extremely dangerous, and two, kind of scary for me and probably for the kids, because they didn't know who I was and probably thought that I didn't know what I was doing, because I just looked so confused when I was on other events other than floor, because I didn't really know what I was doing in those specific areas. But floor, I'm fine in. The next one, really, like this really makes me mad. There are a lot of kids that are signed up for acro or gymnastics or dance. I'm not saying this is always the case, but in a lot of cases, it's so that parents can just like get rid of their kids and be like, here you go, take care of my kid for like an hour, 45 minutes so that I can go have a break. That is not okay. We are not a daycare system. We are people that want to teach these kids how to be acrobats, because acro, gymnastics, dance, they are all very cool and all different in their own ways. And if you want to be there, you will have to want to be there. You can't just send your kid off and give them to us and expect us and them to both want to cooperate and work together, because it just won't happen. And that kind of leads into my next point, which is throwing them in a class when they don't want to be there. If your child does not want to be in this class, why are you sending them there? I understand that you might want to get them more physical, more active, get them outside or doing something with friends, make them help them like learn new friends. But you don't do that by telling them, being like, hey, you're gonna go to tap class and you're gonna love it and you're gonna go have so much fun, when they on the outside might be like, yeah, I'm so excited, but on the inside they might be like, I don't want to be here, this is hard, this is scary for me, like trying something new, I don't want to do this. But you just aren't listening to them, and they're not communicating that with you. Maybe because they're scared to and they don't want to get like in trouble, or if you yell at them. So make sure that when you're signing your kid up for something, that you make sure that they want to do it, and you're not just putting them in the class because you want them to do it, because that's not okay. They're not going to try, and then by them not trying, it's going to get the teachers mad at them, and you're going to get mad at them because you're spending all this money on them and they're not trying. So you have to make sure that they want to be there and they want to progress and learn this art. Have fun in it, not you're just putting them there because you want them to be more physical and active. So sit down with them, talk to them, be like, hey, what can we do so you can become more active, be more physical, make more friends, be more social. And if they tell you that you want to join this, like say that you want to join soccer but you want them to do dance, you can't push away their soccer dream and make them join dance or gymnastics or whatever you want them to do. And just like forget about what they want to do, like forget, like pretty much like brainwash them thinking that you want to be a dancer, you want to be a gymnast, you want to be a basketball player. I don't care about what you think, it's all about what I think. So I'm going to send you this class. That's not okay. Make sure that you talk to them and make sure that you put them in something that they want to do. Next, if you talk to them and they want to be in this class and you want them to be in this class and it's going to be a great fun time, send them in the proper clothes. There are so many times that like 5 to even like 13-year-olds have shown up in jeans or dresses to their acrobatic class, because that's what I teach. Like, you can't do acrobats in jeans. You can't do acrobats in a dress. There is reasons as to why there are these dress rules. Gymnastics, you wear a leotard and shorts. That's what you wear. Acrobatics, you wear pretty much any fitted clothing for dance is required. You can't send a kid in some baggy clothing and expect them to be able to teach, because as teachers, it's really hard to teach somebody when they're not wearing the proper clothing, because then you can't see their form. It's really hard to spot because they just slip out of your hands, which is really scary for us because we don't want to drop your kid. And it'll just make it so much easier on them. So make sure that if you're sending a kid to whatever class you're sending them to, that you look at the clothes requirements and put them in the right clothes. That also goes along with hair. Usually for any sport, your hair will always have to be up and out of your face. You will have to take it and either put it in a ponytail, like a high ponytail, or twist it up into a bun. If you send your kid with your hair down to a dance class, it's happened multiple times. I was teaching last year, and about 30 times in one class, I had to keep putting kids' hair up in buns, up in ponytails. It was a task because I'm here trying to help your kid and teach your kid all these new skills, while meanwhile, your kid's hair can't stay up. They'll be in the middle of a routine and their hair will just fall and they have to get up and walk over to us and be like, hey, I need to put my hair up. So if you send your kid to a class, make sure their hair is in the proper way that it's supposed to be. If it needs to be in 2 braids, it needs to be in a ponytail, it needs to be in a bun, put it in that. And if you don't know how to do it, learn how to do it, or have them learn how to do it so that they can do it and they don't come here being like, oh, I need you to do my hair for me, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to teach you new skills, not for us to do your hair. We're not a hair salon, okay? Next is warming up. Okay, my next few points are based off of what I saw at different studios when I went to go watch my friends or my cousins at their events, specifically gymnastics and acrobats or just dance. You need to properly warm up. If you don't warm up your muscles, there is a very high chance that you will get hurt. Yes, injuries do happen. Warm up is meant to stretch out their muscles, but if you fall and hurt yourself, you can't really count that as your warm up, like getting hurt. But if you don't warm up, you will hurt yourself. You will stretch a ligament, you will tear a ligament. There are so many different things that can happen if you don't properly warm up. There are so many kids that come in late to class. Just this week on Friday when I was teaching, this kid came in after our warm up, or right when we were doing like the very end, like last back bends or whatever. She came in, she swung her arms around a little bit. She's like, Kate, I'm good to go. And she had maybe 1 or 2 back bends. She's like, yep, I'm good. And I'm like, no, that's not a good warm up. Go warm up. Like, go stretch your legs, your arms, stretch everything out. And she's like, no, I'm fine. I swung my arms around. I did a couple back bends. I'm good. I'm not going to sit here and argue with your kid. We have told them multiple times that they need to warm up, or if they come in late, to come get one of us. We will help them warm up. If your kid comes in late, you can't really expect us to come up to them and be like, oh, hey, like, Kaylee, warm you up. They need to, 1, come to class on time. I get if there's something personal that happens or traffic, like, that's fine. But if your kid just comes to class because you're taking your time to get here, or they will even get here and just sit outside while their class is going on, eating food or on their phones, which is absolutely ridiculous. And if I see your kid doing that, of course I'm going to pull them into class and be like, hey, get in here. This is your class, not your, like, waiting time, okay? I have walked out of my studio, not my studio, but the studio that I was in, multiple times and seeing kids just sitting there. I've left it for about a minute, see if they would come in. A few minutes later, I will walk out and I'll be like, hey, come on, get into class. I know you're here. They'll be like, oh, I just got here. And I was like, no, you got here about 5-10 minutes ago. You just been sitting out here. I didn't come get you the first time because I thought that you are old enough to come into class yourself. So if you miss your entire warm-up, it is your job to warm up properly. Not our job to make sure that you warm up. It is your job. Unless you are a little kid who doesn't really know warm up or doesn't really know what to do, yeah, we'll help you. But if you are 13 years old, you're expected to come into class, warm up on your own, and make sure that you're ready to go, because we are not going to rush you and make sure that you aren't warmed up or you just do a few little things and be like, hey, yeah, we're doing the routine now. No, we will wait for you to be warmed up so that we can do the routine and we know that you're not going to get hurt. My next one is stretching, kind of along the same thing as warm up. If you're in warm up and you say we're doing splits, it is so easy to tell when a kid isn't trying when they're doing their splits. Kids will always often not even be like a foot and a half off the ground, lift their arms up, be like, oh my god guys, like I'm so good. Be like, no. If we see your kid doing that, we're gonna be like, nope, you can go further than that. And if they don't go further, we will stand up, go, take your kid, position them to where we know that they can only go. And they'll be like, oh my god, like, ow, that really hurts. Be like, no, we literally moved you like a centimeter. That does not hurt. If you can sit in a split, lift your arms and turn, like, move around, you are not stretching at all. So if your kid's in warm-up and we are telling them to stretch harder, stretch further, go as far as you can without hurting yourself, you're probably warming up. But if you're sitting there, not stretching, thinking that, I don't need to do this, this is boring, I don't want to be here, why are you in this class? One, you need to warm up. You're going to get hurt. So if you're not stretching properly, higher chance that you're going to get hurt. I have seen multiple times at many studios, many gymnastics gyms, many dance classes, teachers not warm up their kids properly. I went and watched one of my friends and cousins' gymnastics classes. They didn't even warm up. They just went right into their skills. And I was like, that is not a warm up. They did maybe a couple jumps across the floor. That's not a warm-up. I wanted to get up, walk in there, and say, hey, I have a proper warm-up for you. Here's what we're gonna do. I wanted to so bad, but I did not because it would have just been mean. There have just been multiple times where I am looking at this kid who was just standing around doing absolutely nothing, and then them just going off doing some skills. I have looked at them and I am just thinking, you are gonna get hurt. You didn't warm up. You're gonna hurt yourself. And all the coaches and teachers don't give a crap. They're like, yeah, you know, whatever, like, they're not gonna get hurt, they're used to this training. And I'm like, no kid is used to just walking in and going straight into their activity that they're doing. That's not okay. That's not correct. It is your job to make sure that in the beginning of class, everybody's there and everybody warms up together. You don't just jump into skills. That's something that no coach should ever do, and everybody should know that. This next one is spotting. When I was watching my cousin Shannon at dance, she is 6 years old. They were doing handstand over the back bend. If you don't know what it's called, limber, handstand over the back bend, like same thing. The coaches were spotting kids doing cartwheels and somersaults when they can easily do cartwheels and somersaults. They were like, yeah, I'm gonna spot you on this. Or they were spotting them on them doing their conditioning, not spotting these kids who are doing these handstand over the back bends. I don't know what they're doing. They were doing handstands and literally flopping on the floor on their backs. One, they could overstretch their wrists this way, they could land on their ankles wrong, they could land on their back wrong, they could hurt their neck. So many different things that could have happened, and these coaches knew that they were doing this, they were looking at them, but they didn't go over and give them the proper spotting and weren't giving them the proper technique that they needed. It literally hurts to watch that stuff because I know what's going to happen in the future. Those kids are gonna hurt themselves so bad because they don't have proper technique. That's another thing. If you're teaching a kid something, don't tell them to be like, we're gonna do handstand and somersaults, okay? Don't tell them to go in a handstand and just roll. You need to give them proper technique. Like, start with your arms up, point your toe up, do a handstand, point your feet, squeeze your knees together, squeeze your feet together, and then roll. Make sure that you tuck your head under when you roll so you don't hit your neck, and make sure you really round your back so you can keep rolling. You need to teach kids how to do that. I see so many people are just like, yep, handstand, roll, okay, good, next. You need to start them off with proper technique if you want them to progress and be able to do these skills in the future. Again, while I was watching this, at my little cousin Shannon's gymnastics class, I wanted to get up. I could also tell that the coaches there, they were like teenagers. No way they were certified. Half the time they had no idea what they were doing. I wanted to get up, go say something to them because it is terrible what these kids are doing. I could tell that they were intimidated by me because I was just sitting there, and when they did something, I would just look at them and, oh, like, you know that face when you look at somebody and give them a look that you're doing this completely wrong and you need to help these kids? I was giving that look, of course, but it was totally needed because they were not doing the good job that they should have been doing. Wasn't okay. Like, I don't want my little cousin to be coming home one day saying that at gymnastics I got hurt, and I'm gonna know exactly why, probably because they weren't spotting and they weren't giving them proper technique. It is so hard to watch kids do stuff without proper technique because I just know that they're gonna get hurt in the future, and it's so preventable. Give them proper technique, spot them. Like, there's so many ways that you can prevent them getting hurt at a class. But like, if you don't care enough to make sure they don't get hurt, why are you coaching? Find somebody else to take your job. If you're not going to spot them properly, make sure they warm up properly. Why are you there? It doesn't make any sense to me. If your student is doing something and you just walk away and go do something else for, say, check your phone, it's happened multiple times that I've seen. That is so irritating. Your student needs you. Like, you're there to help them progress. Your job is not to sit with them for about 5 minutes, yeah, talk to them, like chit chat, and then leave, go check your phone. That's not your job. Your job is to coach them, help them, make sure they don't get hurt. But you walking away, that's not doing that. Next, if you are with your student or child or whatever you're doing, and you say, Kate, we're gonna do this skill, and they're like, no, I'm not comfortable with it. Say that we're gonna have them do a back handspring, and they don't even have a standing back bend or a back bend kickover. You say, Kate, we're gonna learn back handsprings now, and this child says, I'm not comfortable, like I don't have standing back bends or back bend kickover, and you say, nope, whatever, we're just gonna do it. That's not okay. This child is telling you that they aren't comfortable doing this skill, and you are just gonna make them do it. You need to make sure that they have all these skills that they need for a back handspring. They have a standing back bend, a back bend, then kick over, a back walkover, and they need to have all these things, and a back limber too. That's really helpful for a back handspring. If they don't have these skills, you should not be trying back handsprings with them. It is absolutely insane. It doesn't make any sense. It's So next time like a child says that they're not comfortable doing this skill, please don't make them do it. Wait until they're ready to do it, and then they will want to do it, and it'll be a less likely chance that they will hurt themselves. If you are coaching and a child gets injured somehow, hurts their ankle, hurts their wrist, and you just walk over to them and be like, whatever, like, you're fine, like, not my problem, it's your problem, deal with it. If you give them that attitude, that shows that you don't really care about them, that you don't care that they're hurt, you don't care that they're in pain, you don't really care for them at all. That's not okay. You should make sure that this child is okay, that say they hurt their ankle, make sure that they can move it. Like, do all the stuff you need to make sure that they don't hurt themselves, because you need to care if this child is injured, and if they are, you also have to make sure that you tell their parents, that they don't tell their parents, and then something gets twisted up or whatever, and it's miscommunication. You have to tell them, because when it's your coaches, it's as a coach, it's your job to tell them what happened and that they got hurt. Even if they just like hit their head a little bit, you gotta tell them, because they could have gotten a concussion. Like, literally, the slightest things can hurt yourself. Trust me, I know. I'm not going into that though. My next one goes for a studio. Not saying what studio this is. Some people will know what studio this is, but I'm not saying what it is. Please don't comment it down below either, please, because I'm not trying to throw shade at this studio, because I love this studio, but I just have to say this. A studio is required to have some form of a medical kit, to have ice at a studio, anything that they need if a child gets injured. Somebody at this studio broke her ankle, foot, whatever you want to call it. Studio had nothing whatsoever to help her. The ice that they have are those hard blocks that you can't move around. So what's that gonna do for you? Absolutely nothing. Broke her ankle. They had nothing to stabilize it, support it, ice it, get anything on it. and she was sitting there in so much pain and you couldn't help this child. That is just so sad. No studio should be like that. You should always have some form of a medical kit at your studio. No matter what kind of studio you are, you could literally be like a tap studio, like only. You need to have like some form of medical kit. Like, come on, people, come on. Okay, so that's it for this video. I got really heated in this. Sorry if this was offensive to anybody watching. If this is a coach of any form watching, I really hope you took some tips from this, because this really just irritates me when coaches don't do this or are doing something completely wrong. Sorry if it offended you in any way. I did not mean for that to happen. But then again, if it did, I hope you really learned something from this, from a coach's perspective and a student's perspective, because things can be really scary for a coach and a student, especially if it's scary for both of them at the same time. It just doesn't work. Let me know what other videos you want me to rant about or just like complain about or talk to you guys about, because those are kind of like the best ones for me to film, because I can just sit down, talk to you guys, talk to you about how I feel. But yeah, go check out the other rant that I did. I'll link it down below so you can go check that out. But yeah, so hope you didn't offend anybody. It was really fun for me to film. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Peace.